I need to see where the edge here. Yeah, that seems fine. This new setup, I have like no idea where to put the camera so people can actually see me. But I think since I have everything cropped closest to our names, I have to be like all the way to the side here, which on OBS or whatever, they can't tell how far away I am. But like you can see how much just like empty space is on the side of my camera.
I see. It's so weird when I sit my camera on my lap. It looks like I'm Rick Piper, frankly. Do I need to be on this side?
Yeah, that would be better. The closer you are to the name on Discord, the closer you will be on screen. Now, to you, actually, I should probably look like I'm on the opposite side because so maybe you need to be on the opposite side of your name because they flip it. For the person using Discord.
It's awful.
So you can like fix your hair or whatever. I don't know.
Jeez.
But anyway, yeah, we're here and we're back.
This is as good as it gets.
Ugh. Welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. We took a couple weeks off because we were in location transition, but at least one of us is currently sitting at the new location.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of us is at one of the old locations.
Yeah. But, yeah, we're ready to go. There's not really a lot of, like, interesting news, but I do have a couple things pulled up just in case. But I don't know if we'll need it, because one of the only things we could do to keep ourselves sane during this entire transition was to watch a lot of media. So we probably just have a lot of stuff to talk about anyway. If there's anything particularly you want to talk about first.
We watched some good stuff last night. I liked all of that. Show we watched. But I don't know. I feel like we should wrap up season 5 of Don Machi first.
If you want to get that out of the way, you can lead into that if you want.
Yeah. Well, I really thought. I mean, I kind of told you at the time. I'm not exactly sure what the word is. I thought that the end of the season was very muted, or just kind of, I don't know, it was a little bit what's the word, it was a lot of build up, and the second to last episode, I guess, well, what, maybe it was the last episode. Did they defeat Otarl finally? Was that the last one?
Yeah. It was like near the very beginning, and then the rest of the episode was just like epilogue, pretty much like wrapping everything up.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that was the big climax, was finally defeating Otarl. But I kind of expected more, I don't know, just more something. I don't know what, but it was like after that, it was just like, I guess the episode's over. I mean, like a bunch of stuff happened, but it's like,
it has been a while. Let me. Anybody new here who doesn't know what we're talking about or maybe forgot, Don Machi is short for "Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?" Which, if you're like a regular Fischoso who's sick of hearing that, well, you probably won't have to hear about it for quite a while after today, because the season ended, and with its progression as a light novel, we probably won't be getting another season soon. I actually would not expect next season to be next year. If I'm honest, I'd be happy to be surprised, but like my expectations are a little bit lower than that.
Where are we in the manga?
It's light novels, but I think there's only like 3 chapters that are, or 3 volumes that are done that haven't been adapted. I don't know if that's enough for another season. I think they're going to be waiting on more to be finished before they adapt it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no. I mean, okay, you're right. So you said 3, right?
Yeah. I think that last I checked, more could be there since then.
Yeah. No, it looks like 3. So we just finished, essentially, wow. Let's see, 6, 12.
But also, hey, Fizz, Mike.
14, 15, 16.
I do see you there.
Looks
acknowledging your existence.
Yeah, it looks like this season was basically the 16th novel in the series. but I kind of feel like they might have skipped stuff. Maybe they could go back and do stuff out of order. But actually, no, wait, and 17th. So yeah, there's actually only 2.
Oh, only 2. Okay.
Let me see. The 18th. Oh. Wow. Volume 18. Okay, actually, maybe none. We might be at the end.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to volume 19.
They might be in the middle of making 19, right? It's not actually publicized yet, or?
Okay. So yeah, season 5 ended with the end of volume 18. So there's only one new one.
Yeah, and usually they
out there
do about like 3 volumes at a time, except for the first season, which was bigger. They compressed it a lot more to get things off, but since then, it's been about 3 volumes at a time. So if they don't have any more to do, like we have to wait until there are more volumes to adapt.
Yeah, we might be waiting a good 3 years because.
Yeah, well, that's how big the wait was between like the first and second season or whatever, and then they waited till they had like a big front load before they started adapting and stuff, and now we've caught up again.
Yeah, so let's see, there's only volume 19 that came out 2 years ago though. Okay, there's also volume 20 that just came out 3 months ago. So it might be another year before volume 21, and then probably another year. So yeah, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not expecting another one next year. Not unless they start really, like, stretching them out, you know?
Or if there's stuff they skipped. I don't think they did.
I don't think they're going back and covering anything they skipped, to be honest. Series like this.
Maybe they'll do another OVA.
Yeah. Maybe they'll get a movie to hold over. Since they, like another movie. If there's demand for it. The problem is, the demand for Danmachi is not as high as it used to be. It still has a good-sized audience, but it's not like the hot thing. So it's like, it's at sustainability is what it's at. It's not like, oh, we have to get a movie out because everybody wants it or anything like that.
Yeah. Interestingly, the next light novel involves a ship, a gigantic mobile educational institution supported by the guild. Interesting.
Sounds fun.
And,
sounds like an airship.
Belle has to I guess it says, I guess maybe called the school district, and looks like Belle has to infiltrate. And there's a Ryu doppelganger. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I don't know, I'm not caught up with it, right? Like, I haven't read a single chapter at all. I've only watched the series, so it is kind of interesting to be watching something that I know basically very little about aside from what I'm watching, you know? Because usually I'm ahead of whatever I'm watching because I'll have read the manga or the light novel ahead of time.
Well, anyway, there's no bumping uglies Fistioso in this show. It's very wholesome.
I wouldn't say very. It's wholesome enough.
I mean, there's blood and guts, I guess.
Well, I mean, it never gets etchy, but there have been some moments that are like comically sexy.
I guess.
Yeah. Which I wouldn't put in wholesome. I mean, it's wholesome enough. It's like kids or teenagers at least can watch it. Like, you wouldn't worry about a preteen watching this series.
Yeah. But it was basically wrapping up the war game, where it seemed like most of Freya had basically pissed off the entire town.
Yeah.
By hypnotizing everyone. But it seemed like her house, most of them, at least the smart ones, decided they needed her to lose the war game because she was
psychotic.
Insane with love. Yeah. And only Belle could break her out of it. Otherwise, she would just be obsessed with him forever, I guess.
Yeah, like even if she won and got him, it still wouldn't be healthy.
Yeah, she would. Yeah, she'd just be obsessing over him, and he would never love her back. So, essentially, ultimately, he had to win, and I guess, I mean, kind of like felt like cheating at the end because all these people came in, but you know, he pulled out all the stops, I guess.
Yeah.
He raised a level. He got an upgrade for level boost like from
4 people fighting Noltarl at the same time.
Yeah, and then he got like another level boost, or at least some sort of lightning powers.
Oh, there was also He, those weren't his. It was Hayden like gave him a blessing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The what's her name? Hestia gave him a level boost or a level upgrade or whatever. Haruhime gave him a level boost, and Hedin gave him a blessing. So it took all that to take down the king. Is that what they called him?
Yeah.
And yeah, plus 3 other people were helping him who were even higher level than he was.
Well, like something that I was saying the whole time that I've been enjoying about it is that the mythological references are not just like surface level. They're not just like there to be like, oh, look at this cool name for this thing. Thematically, they fit the characters they're on and how and when they're used in the battle. For example, like Noltarl in mythology is one of the names of Freya's battle pig, which is also Hildisvini, or Hildisvini means or swine, right? Is battle pig specifically, and he even uses that as one of his moves, especially when he's doing like this charging attack, right? Like he becomes Freya's battle swine during the time that he does it. And a lot of Hedon's moves were like that too. Almost all of Freya's people were references to like Valkyrie and other things, but it wasn't just a reference. Like it thematically would have been impactful in the moment if you understood the reference. But I mean, that even ties all the way back to if I had remembered that while we were initially watching it, but I think I remembered before it became important. Seer is Freya's name when she wanders amongst the people. And we were able to put together, it's like, oh, that's probably Freya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was I thinking? There was some aspect. Was it Cassandra's
Foresight
friend?
Or which
her
one?
friend though?
Mm-hmm.
The girl she's always hanging out
Daphne.
with. Daphne, right?
Yeah.
She in one of the later episodes of this season turns her skin to wood.
Yes.
And I believe that was a reference to how wasn't she turned into a tree?
Yes.
To get away from Zeus, who was chasing her. She prayed to a
I was actually wondering if that was going to happen prior to that, since everybody else, their names usually have something to do with the myth. And it was cool that eventually came out.
Yeah. Of course, it was just she didn't actually turn into a tree, and presumably she'll be back to normal. But yeah, I thought when that was funny, I was like, wait, she's like her skin was clearly wood to try to block attacks and stuff.
Well, it's one of the things I like about Cassandra too, right? Is that the only person who believes any of her like dreams or whatever is Belle, who is clearly not somebody from a myth. He's like the outlier to everything here. So like he'll believe it, but everybody else, like Cassandra, still has pretty much the same curse that she had back in like Greek mythology, where she has all these visions of the future, but nobody will believe her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Flit Daphne cast bark skin, exactly. Which is very appropriate for that character. Yeah, so I mean, it's a cool show because, especially if you know some of these mythological characters, there's just nods all over the place to actual mythology stories and Norse myths and Greek myths and
Hindu. I am Ganesha.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. Ganesha was there to the very end.
I love
him. Got his elephant mask.
Yeah. Because how would we know he's Ganesha if he doesn't say that he's Ganesha? You know,
like. I know. Yeah. Seriously.
I'd start thinking he was replaced with a mimic or something if he wasn't saying that I am Ganesha.
What is that?
Oh. Talking about that squeaky noise?
Yeah. Something was beeping. Anyway. Yeah, so I mean, spoilers. Anyone who's not watching, Belle defeated the final, it's kind of the final boss. I was expecting something more out of Freya, but it was just like, okay, he got to her finally. He just had to say, look, this is never going to happen. I'm never going to be in love with you. And I guess that broke her out of her own.
But he did get more out of it, though, right? Just not at that moment, right? It was, she kind of went through a little depression walk of shame, but at the end, her friends
her whole family.
Her. Yeah.
Well, her whole family had to be disbanded, her familia.
Yeah, which happened to the Apollo familia, too, after their war game.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, after that, her friends confronted her and basically told her that she was being stupid, and if she doesn't want the weight of a goddess anymore, she can just go hang out with them.
Yeah, she was going to leave. She was going to just banish herself from the town. But yeah, she'd been a barmaid, basically, and friends with all the cat girls that work in the bar.
Yeah, well, lucky for her, if she does take on the appearance of Seer, really only like Belle and his closest people, the people who work at the bar and the highest up at the Freya Familia, even know that she was Seer. So she could realistically live in that city still and nobody would know.
Yeah. And I mean, as Seer, she's not, she doesn't look like she's just like the stunning beauty that she is as Freya.
Oh, man, I think Seer might be more beautiful than Freya. But...
Well, she's cute. What that is beeping over there. But I guess we'll see how, if Ryu puts up with her. I guess she seemed okay with it.
Yeah, after a hefty
continue
slap.
Yeah, as long as she doesn't continue to put the moves on Ryu's love interest.
Yeah, well, you get to feel sorry for Ryu, but she got over it too. Like that was one of the big things in that last battle, was she confessed to Belle so she could also get over her crush on him, because Belle's got one target in mind. He even says, like, now that I confessed, we're even.
I guess. I guess they really did ice Wallenstein. They kind of did her dirty, because I was reading a bit on Reddit that she had more to do in the light novels, and she was more interested in the outcome of this war game.
She's just more interesting in the show, in general, from what I've been reading.
In the show, she's just like, she barely even reacts, because they're all watching it like they're all watching on TV kind of thing. She barely even reacts when things happen, so it's just like...
Yeah, I guess I don't know if it's the same people, that have been with it throughout, but I'm assuming so based on how they've been treating her. But publicly, there were some people from the production studio during the first season that have said that they just weren't fans of Ice, so they kind of tweaked things here and there.
Yeah. And probably just because I've only seen the show and haven't read the novels. I really like her very much.
But Belle,
I like
that's
Ryu a
all
lot
that
better.
matters.
I guess, but I mean, come on. He spent the whole season practically, or half a season, you know, like cozying up with Ryu. I think he should get over his crush and be with her. Whatever. I guess that's all there is.
Well, it kind of just goes back to something I was complaining about, and I often do, but I was complaining about it to you, I think 2 days ago or whatever, is I just can't stand it when somebody goes and they adapt something and they think they know better than the person who wrote the thing they're adapting, right? In this case, where they kind of like try to sideline Ice as much as possible, maybe even try to like tweak some of the relationships in their favor. I was using Bleach as an example because I was rewatching Bleach since we have access to Hulu, and Studio Pero just really wanted Ichigo and Rukia to get together, even though clearly Tite Kubo had wanted Ichigo and Orihime together, which they ended up together at the very end. And I think the studio thought that they could kind of nudge them by getting the audience on board with this ship, so that like Kubo would kind of be forced to put them together by the end of the series, which it didn't work. And they even like the way they adapted Orihime's origin was even changed to make it seem like her and Ichigo were less close than they were, and she had like a hard crush on him the entire time. And it's like, I just can't stand it, you know? And we complain where Western studios change things when they adapt, but like the Japanese studios aren't any better. If they have an agenda, even if their agenda is just like, hey, we think these two characters should be together, they will totally sideline the adaptation for the sake of the agenda.
I guess so. I don't know what their agenda is.
No, their agenda is... Don Machi, it might even be your agenda. They also might think that Belle and Ryu are better together. I don't know. Yeah. But clearly their agenda is they don't like Ice, right? At the bare minimum, they don't like her.
Yep. Now, who are these people? Ichigo and Orihime?
Oh, from Bleach. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Flitz is weird. I never once got the sense that Ichigo and Orihime weren't going to end up together. Yeah, you know, because as much as they tried, they just really couldn't. But there was definitely some... go back, I was rewatching the first season too. There's definitely parts where it's like they're pushing Ichigo and Rukia from the beginning, and it just never happens, and it's never going to happen. Ichigo and Orihime have kids after the end of the story. Like, that's canon. Let's see. Vishoso said, did anyone think my Uzima art looked good, or is it cringe because CGI art is supposedly lazy? I don't think computer graphic art, which there's no reason for the eye there, is supposedly lazy. It takes a lot of work to make good computer models. I don't remember if I saw it or not, so I don't know.
I think it looks great. Does she have she has like a gigantic hammer at the end of her arm or something? Looks like, or else she's holding up a piece of wood. I don't know. Looks good to me.
And he also said a lot of fans wanted Zuko Katara to get together in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Apparently, there are talks of doing it in the live action. Yeah, that was something that a lot of people wanted. It's not that I can't even see that at certain intersections, but it still would be really forced if it ended up happening. I think the relationships everybody ended up with at the end of the series made sense. But you know what? That's when you have, like, when you have a group of creators, whether it's a single person, whether it's a team, and they stay consistent throughout, though, you should just trust them to take the story where it's going to go, you know? Because they know the characters better than you do. It's like, oh, I'm in the audience. I think this is the way it should go. And it's like, well, it's okay to have your opinions. Go write your fan fiction, whatever. But you still don't know the characters better than the people who created them.
Yeah. True. I don't know what Flit's trying to say. Flit says, Ichigo and Rukia always gave off brother-sister vibes to me. But we're talking anime. Why does that matter?
Yeah, that's true.
I decided to turn on notifications for what's the name of that guy? The Chibi
Reviews.
Chibi Reviews, and I must say his his feed is quite interesting.
Yeah, very questionable tastes, but he's anti-censorship, so that's based enough for me.
Yeah. He actually had a little conversation recently. There you go. Flint says, I see more people's been reading Chibi Reviews tweets again.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, he had a little conversation about that the other day. Where a bunch of people were saying, like, I hate that this guy's still alive or something.
Oh, yeah. He made it on Tectone started doing like an anime cast, and Chibi was invited to like 2 of the 2 episodes that were done.
Yeah.
And the second one got pretty spicy, so yeah. I don't know. I look at a lot of his stuff, and he's into like absolute slop, like gushing over magical girls, which is trash. It's just a trash series. It's like,
I added that, but I added that to my watch list. Are you saying I shouldn't watch that?
Absolute garbage. But I mean, if you want to watch it, you can watch it. But it's like, yeah, his tastes are questionable. But I'm still behind anybody who is anti-censorship all the way.
So you're saying I shouldn't be reading Chibi Reviews for my, recommendation list? Is that what you're saying?
You can try whatever you want to try. I'm just saying I wouldn't.
Hey, I read I was reincarnated as a sword.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I watched it. Well, we shall see. I might have to watch one episode and see what it's like.
Yeah.
It's funny because it looks like there's a character that does not want to be evil, but like gets these powers, and she becomes like the antagonist, and she feels bad about it, but at the same time, she feels good. Something, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. See, I don't know what Fitzjoseph's complaining about. Half his stories are.
No, he keeps complaining about this. He's complaining because there are people who like that series, but then when he tries to give his ideas, they don't like it. And like, there's hypocrisy about it. It's like, I don't really care.
Oh. He's saying, hey, if people like that show, why don't they like mine? Mine's even worse. What's funny is, I guess Twitter was down this morning briefly. I guess before I woke up. And Chibi Review says, oh, thank goodness Twitter's down. Nobody can see that I like feet. That was a funny tweet.
Flit says he watched an episode of Solo Leveling, seemed okay, then he read ahead and lost interest. I never had any interest in Solo Leveling. What I find the funniest part is, though, that a lot of people only lost interest, like the people who've been following it closely. I guess not that closely if they never actually read, with the most recent arc being completed, because he like did the whole thing that was the whole reason for him leveling in the first place. And you're like, wow, you're surprised he did the thing that he was going to do? But
what was
I forget. Like
so,
it was something like saving the old lady or whatever. I'm not really interested in
Okay.
solo leveling. I read a little bit of it, and it didn't seem good. So I pieced out very early. But I've been watching the criticism of it, barely understanding what's going on since I don't read it. And it's like, that's kind of crazy that you guys are only now getting mad because he did the thing that he said he was going to do.
So are they mad because there's nothing else for him to do, or?
No, there's plenty more for him to do, but it's like, I don't know.
Mm.
I think it was maybe they were complaining about the way it was handled, but it's like, I don't know. You seem to be fans of this thing, but if you read it, it happened the same way. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm just I guess now I'm just waiting for the next season of Freerun.
I don't think you'll be waiting as long for that one as you will for Don Machi.
Yeah, there's like apparently a whole arc where she goes back in time.
Yeah.
And stuff. Like,
Well, I think the next thing that's going to happen, though, right? Is that when? I forget if that's the time-related thing, but it's going to be more to do with the demons and living in society and how you can't trust the demons. Like that's kind of like the next big thing that's going to come up.
Seems like that already came up.
Oh no! It gets worse.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. It's actually one of the big points to the series, right? Everybody thinks like the main point is, oh, you gotta relish life in the moment and get to know the people that you knew, and now she's going like there's this whole personal growth. It's like no, the actual main point is how you can't trust demons. That's the point to the show.
Let's see. You don't know that yet. That's the point. That's fine too.
That's the way that the manga's been making it seem, is that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm a little bit behind on the manga. I should catch up. I'm like
You've been reading it?
Worth. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jozo doesn't like gushing over magical girls because half of every episode is a sex scene. It sounds like I'm going to need to do some research on this. Have an informed opinion.
I mean, that's not inherently the reason why I don't like it. I don't like it because the writing is slop, though. I mean, if half every episode is a sex scene, that would contribute to your writing being slop.
So,
yeah.
Well, was there anything else before we talk about the last thing that we watched?
I'm trying to remember because we watched a lot of stuff
in between, I guess.
Yeah. Right now, I'm rewatching some stuff because I feel like that's better than most of the newer things I could be watching. I'm rewatching both Bleach and Inuyasha, which are like classic series at this point. It's almost like not wanting to call the PlayStation 2 a retro console or something. Like it kind of hurts to call Inuyasha and Bleach classic series because like Inuyasha started in 97 and ended in I think 08, and Bleach started in I think 2001 and ended in 16. So at least the ending of that one's not that old, but still like when it started, these are old series. And it hurts to call them old series. But they're good, and I'm enjoying rewatching them so far.
Well, I've been watching a few episodes of the original Ranma 1/2.
Yeah, I've been watching my entire life.
Yeah. I would say that I kind of wish that I had watched that first, because watching it after seeing the new one, it's very slow going, and it's like I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not until like
a little bit
season 2, episode 3 that you'll hit stuff you haven't seen.
So yeah, so like I knew what's his name, the guy who has a crush on Akane, that he
Which
would fall
one?
in love with Ranma at
Kuno?
the very beginning.
Tatawaki Kuno?
Kuno, yeah. But it's pretty funny that I don't know if they did this in the new one, where he's coming up with different names for himself. He's like Blue Lightning or something, and they're like.
So that happened a couple times in the manga, but not in the span that he did it. He calls himself the Blue Thunder of Furinken High,
Blue Thunder.
Which he does consistently call himself. But there are a couple times where he'll like come up with some other weird title.
Yeah.
His sister has a title like that too, is a Kadachi Kuno, the Black Rose.
Yeah. But there's like these girls watching from the school, and they're like, didn't he call himself something else last week?
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, but that's not the line in the manga. They kept the line in the manga in the new one, where I believe Nabiki's up there and is like, who calls him that?
Yeah. Yeah. But,
There's a lot of just free written humor in that one, but that's part of the charm of the original series, is it takes more time to get anything done, which, spoiler, it doesn't actually ever finish the story. It finishes the series, but not the story, because half of it is filler. But because of that, the team at Studio Dean just gets to write a lot of jokes that they feel should be in there, which it's a double-edged sword. Like, sometimes it's something that doesn't really belong in Ranma. Sometimes it's something that's really funny. They like Haposai way more than like any audience member does, or even Rumiko Takahashi did, which you don't know who that is, but you'll run into him eventually.
Yeah, but we already talked about that, so we can move on for now.
Yeah. I've been keeping up with Sakamoto Days, and it's one of those things where, like, I always try to give everything a chance. I try to give them at least the 3 episodes. This is one of the few things that I've been watching where it didn't take me long to get into it, and at least as far as in the third or the first season, it hasn't dipped at all. Like, it's been pretty just consistently wild and entertaining throughout. The season's not over yet. I don't know if it's going to dip, but I've been enjoying Sakamoto Days quite a bit.
Yeah. Sounds good. I have not been watching it.
No, you haven't. You'll probably, if you do end up watching, be after the season's over and you just watch it all at maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, and Daima ended. I think Daima ended after our last show, so I didn't get to talk about the end of Dragon Ball Daima, which was a very crazy ride. Especially the closer you get to the end, the more you realize that while Toriyama was not the actual writer of this, he did kind of decide what was going to happen. Most of it was like him just emailing plot points and stuff to the writer, and then the writer like adapting it into something. But with this, Toriyama had more influence on it than he did even writing Super. And a lot of it was kind of, I don't want to say it's a middle finger, because that's not the type of person that Toriyama was. He would never have that type of attitude. But in a way, it was kind of like a screw you, and like just give the fans what they want. Fuck continuity, fuck everything else. Just give the fans what they want. So he like worked in Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, which I guess a lot of people wanted that. I'm not going to complain about it. It makes sense that Vegeta should be able to do Super Saiyan 3 after enough training, after he saw it the first time. But they pulled out the big guns and brought out Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Now, they brought it out when he was a kid, And there were some questions on whether that was done because of the Namekian let him do it or whatever, like he pulled it out of him. No, he also, after becoming adult again, just went Super Saiyan 4 and revealed it's like, oh, I could have done that the whole time. I just didn't want to. I wanted to save my trump card for a last resort. Yes, he said it was actually called Ultra Vegeta 1, Flit. That was a joke he had at the end of the episode. I found that pretty funny. I overall really liked Daima. I think it's probably my favorite thing from Dragon Ball. Maybe since the Saiyan Saga. Though, I mean, the Buu Saga was pretty close to that. But it felt more Dragon Ball, which when you get to like the Saiyan Saga, the series starts to feel like you're watching something different than what you were used to. Kind of starts a little bit with the King Piccolo arc before that, but there was still some like goofy shit in the King Piccolo arc. This felt like classic Dragon Ball with all of the stuff that we've gotten to know from Dragon Ball Z. And there was even like this really kooky post-credits like scene at the end of the last episode where they go back to the shop that they went to at the very beginning of the series once they made it to the demon realm. And it turned out that like the evil eyeball that made Goma the villain as strong as he was actually like one of 3 that this normal NPC shopkeeper was just selling. Just anybody could have bought it at any time, right? And she's like, yeah, people find it kind of suspicious because it's so overpriced and all that, so nobody wants to buy it. But it leaves a lot of implications, like if Deborah, who was the previous Demon King, I don't want to listen to this song in the background. Deborah, the previous Demon King, had went and bought an evil third eye, then he could have just like soloed all of the Buu saga. He could have taken over Earth or whatever he wanted to do with Bibidi, and just didn't because it was at a convenience store. Like, it's such a Toriyama joke right there. The animation in the post-credits scene was good. It was better than like the rest of the show. What was the studio? Mappa, the one who is doing the Ranma adaptation on Netflix, was the one who animated that post-credit scene. So it had more of like that kind of fluid slice of life anime animation to it. Since that's most of what Mappa does.
Cool.
No, Tien did not probably have one. Tien's awakened third eye is something different than the third eye that was in Daima. Tien's eye has like a really weird explanation with biology and like his ancestors.
What is the animation that Flit's talking about at the post-credit scene at the very end?
What I was just talking about. So the quality of the animation was higher in that post-credit scene than most of the series. They had a few different studios working on it in general. You could go back, you could find a few other scenes that were almost of that quality, but there was like 2 studios. I can't remember the other one, but Mappa was one of them that worked specifically on that post-credit scene that I was talking about.
Right.
But yeah, that was Dragon Ball Daima. If people are fans of Dragon Ball, but especially if they are fans of the OG Dragon Ball, like what it used to be before it kind of hit the Saiyan arc and became what we call Dragon Ball Z, I would especially recommend Daima to those people. I think any Dragon Ball fan would like it, but like the OG Dragon Ball fans would like it more than Z and On fans would. In fact, I even saw some people who were like hardcore Z and Super fans that were complaining about aspects of Daima that they thought were silly and stupid. That I'm like, man, you guys weren't following from the beginning, were you? I mean, I wasn't, but I went back and I'm like, man, this stuff is so much better than the stuff I got to start with.
Hmm. Man, that thing is driving me nuts. I don't know where that beep is coming from, but oh well.
Yeah, Z Onward people did hate GT. I liked GT for what it was worth. It felt very Dragon Ball, at least when they were planet hopping. I obviously the what's it called? The dragons. I can't remember their name, but like the dark dragons, where each of the Dragon Balls became a dragon. That was more for the Z fans, and it was more like Z. But a lot of GT was supposed to be more like Dragon Ball, and Daima really does feel like Toriyama, who was a fan of GT. Toriyama liked GT. He liked the fact that he got to basically be an audience member for a change. Was like, screw you, I'm gonna make my own GT, and you're gonna like it because I made it.
Yeah.
Wait, Super had fans? Yeah, Super has fans. I think there's a difference though, right? Because the Super manga is not bad. It fixes a lot of the problems with the show. I think Toyotaro is doing a good job. Even with that said, I do think Daima is a better series than the Super manga. But a lot of the people who were like really hardcore fans of the Super anime don't like the manga because of the stuff it changes. And like I realized you are the subsection of Dragon Ball fans that I really dislike. The Turbo Z-tards that moved into Super and they just made their home there. I don't like you guys. Go away. Or, I mean, you don't have to go away. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it over there where we don't have to talk to each other. But, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about Daima. I thought overall it was kind of a fresher breath air. And it was a pretty cool thing for Toriyama to leave us in his passing. Because you kind of want to hope that you don't do anything to tarnish your legacy, right? And he's got like a really good legacy. He probably could have like taken a turd on the desk and left it there, and it wouldn't have ruined his legacy. But you just don't want your last thing to be bad, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's nice to see people who aren't just ruining their own stuff. I don't know, for brownie points or whatever. For what?
You okay over there?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
Okay. Oh.
I was kind of hunting down this beeping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a weird beep. Right, like it's not like the chirp of a fire alarm or something. Like you'd be able to recognize that right away. It's just like this really weird beep.
Yeah, plus it's like, how am I hearing it? Is it in my headphones? Because like I'm hearing it through the sound cancellation. So I'm like, I don't know, whatever this beep is.
Well, because I heard it a couple times earlier, so I wouldn't assume it was in your headphones.
Under somewhere. But anyway, I can ignore it for now. Look for it later.
I'm trying to think what else have we been watching. I was watching Reacher, but I can get to that later because we watched an Amazon thing together. Actually, we've been watching two Amazon things together. But one of them is like all right. The other one that we just watched was actually just pretty fucking good, and I would enjoy continuing it when they add more episodes.
Which seems to be Thursdays, I guess.
Yeah, which is the same day as Reacher, so it's easy for me to remember.
When are there new episodes of Invincible?
I don't know the Invincible schedule. I didn't bother to check.
Okay.
Like, I'm watching Invincible.
Just like, filler.
Yeah, it is a filler show for us. It's like, it's there. We have already watched it, so to fill the time, why not continue it?
It's not awful. It's not like so cringe-inducing. Like Rings of Power.
Yeah.
I could not watch any of season 2. I was just like, it's just torture watching this.
Yeah.
Horrible. At least Invincible isn't like that. Just, got nothing better to do. Let's just watch this.
Yeah, it's kind of mid, but it's like it's passably mid.
Yeah. Sorry.
Though it might get worse as things go on, depending on how they choose to adapt some things. So we'll wait for that.
I guess. Flint says he honestly doesn't get the Invincible hype. Is there even Invincible hype anymore?
There was for season 1. There was probably maybe still some right before season 2 came out.
Yeah.
The problem with normie hype, which is where a lot of it came from, is you'll lose it if it takes too long. And they went on like a little extended hiatus or whatever to make the second season. So I do think they lost a lot of it. And there are still plenty of people following, probably enough people to justify it continuing. But I don't think there's a lot of hype around it.
And plus, they're running into the whole one of the problems with Game of Thrones, which was that they're not they're all edgy. They're not afraid to kill off characters.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, but what if that character was somebody's favorite or among their favorites, and they wanted to find out, what happened with them? Well, I don't know. They got blown up. Too bad. Guess you're not watching the show anymore.
Yeah.
I'm like, do they have to kill everyone? I don't,
Let's see. Flit says his shitter feed is flooded with Invincible garbage. So maybe there is some hype out there that I'm just not seeing. But I know when I talk to people that I know, I guess I'm still talking to them through online means, but people that I know IRL, most of my offline experience is nobody's really excited for Invincible. Maybe it's just like a Twitter thing, like that's the type of people that would get interested. That or Reddit. That actually does sound like the type of people that would continue to have hype for Invincible, like Twitter and Reddit people.
Sounds like Flit needs to take a plunger to his shitter feed.
Yeah. Needs to reboot his algorithm somehow.
Flooded. Yeah. I haven't seen anything about it. I guess I'm not following the right people.
It throws me Gacha and Rumiko Takahashi stuff all the time. Like, it's just nothing but Ranma, Inuyasha, Urusei Yatsura, and then like Hoyo shit. That's my whole feed. The algorithm is apparently very fine-tuned to my interests.
See, all I get are comic books, anime, and politics.
No.
I don't have anything about any shows except the shitty new shows that everybody hates.
I'll get some like conversation about new stuff here and there, but that's about it. And it's mostly anime. Like, I don't really see stuff about like awful Western shows. It's just like, oh look, this is the new anime that's going off right now. Maybe give it a try, and then I'll look at it. It's like, I don't know, maybe.
Occasional crypto news. That's about all I get. Fitzgerald's algorithm is apparently the opposite of his interest.
Yeah, sucks.
And Flit says half his feed is in Portuguese. By the way, Brazilians love posting screen caps of text messages for some reason.
It's not just Brazilians, but there are a lot of specific demographics. You can pinpoint it by countries. Brazilians are one of them, where they just do that. I don't know why. It's just something that different people do in different parts of the world. I think it's stupid. But, that's not my culture, so I don't know.
Yeah. I guess. I remember that was more popular like 10 or 15 years ago. In the U.S., anyway. Maybe they're just behind the times.
Maybe. There's a lot of countries that are just, like, behind on trends.
So you want to talk about the House of David?
We can. I really liked House of David.
Yeah. Well, it's still ongoing.
I know.
What we watched so far.
Yeah, I don't know. It could become crap in like an episode for all I know. But at least what we've seen so far, I really, really like it.
Yeah, it's really good. I was intrigued because it seemed like one of these, historical drama shows that's very interesting and it seemed like high quality just from watching the trailer and stuff. And I was like, I don't know, how could they mess this up? But
that's easy, right? To mess stuff up.
Yeah. Well, it turns out it's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, like you go into it expecting certain creative licenses and liberties to be taken because it's like there's only so much actual dialogue that happened in the text that they're basing this off of. So it's like if you want to have a full show, you're going to have to make up some shit that people were saying. That's fine. But it seems so far pretty accurate. Like nothing's been injected into it. Even most of the casting seems pretty appropriate for the area that the people should be in. Like it feels biblical.
Yeah. You know the story better than I do, but I mean, I'm sure, like you said, that they may have even like added characters or subtracted or just changed. This person actually said this and this person said that, but like, who cares? It's supposed to be entertaining. They're not trying for perfect, exact.
Well, at least so far, I have not seen them add a named character, right? Like, obviously, there's some unnamed characters that they might talk to where they don't even say the person's name, like Soldier 5 or whatever, but they have not added a named character that wasn't in the actual book of the Bible so far.
They need to add, what's that guy's name? Cole from Mortal Kombat.
Cole Young.
Yeah. Is it Cole? Yeah, Cole Young. He needs to show up eventually.
And the only casting that was getting me a little bit, and I brought this up while we were watching it, was Stephen Lang as Samuel, because it's like you casted this like blue-eyed white guy to play Prophet, but the thing is like he's so old that with all of the like I guess you would call it prosthetic facial hair, like the fake beard and everything on, that you can't really tell. It's just the eyes. And I was thinking, because the only other person we saw with light eyes was the kind of like oracle mother of the giants, that it might be using the blue eye artistically to represent somebody who has sight that normal people don't have. And if that's the case, I'm actually kind of down with it.
Yeah, he kind of struck me because he's like I don't know if he's the only white guy, but he's like the lightest guy on the show. It struck me as like maybe he's an albino or something. Like, I don't know, he looks different from everyone else. So I think that was intentional.
Yeah. Like at first I thought it was a weird choice. It's like, if this is an artistic choice though, I'm starting to feel it, He does a good job. I mean, Lang's a great actor, so he sells the character.
Yeah, he seems to be the only one who actually genuinely, other than David, sort of is following God's word or whatever. He seems to be the only one that God talks to directly. So, other than some occasional visions that people have gotten. But
yeah, and I think
I didn't know most of the story.
Yeah. Before we went in, you were like, "Wait, isn't the thing with Goliath like the only thing he's known for?"
Yeah, I was like, "What? How are they going to make a whole series about this?" He walks up to Goliath and flings a stone at him, and it's over. Like it's not even a whole episode.
Yeah, and I was starting to break down. I was like, no, that's just like the start of David's story, more or less. Like
or the beginning.
Yeah, like there's a bit before it, and they did go back like a year. So there's a little bit more build-up that they didn't go into, but they were able to basically use exposition to cover it. But that's like just the first part of David's story, because he was also king, right? A lot of what happened with David was after he becomes an adult during his like ruling years. and everything is like he establishes the temple. Which I think is actually maybe the second temple, but he establishes the temple. There's all kinds of dealings he has to do with the surrounding lands. Dude had 8 wives, which was pretty big. He wrote the entire book of Psalms. There's a lot to David that they could cover, you know?
Yeah, but so far the show seems to be all of the stuff that happened leading up to the big event.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised that if they really are just focused on that, because it seems like the whole season is probably going to end with the climax of him fighting Goliath, and that might be the whole show. You don't necessarily need to go past that, right? But if they wanted to do more, they could.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a miniseries or if they plan to have multiple seasons. They don't have to. I think it would be good just ending on that. And
because that's what everybody knows too.
About but the music is good. He comes up with these songs, and he's like, what is it? He's kind of calming the Mad King that's kind of going crazy, but it's all very good.
Yeah, like I think it's a story that's held up over time for really, really good reasons, because it's overall just a good story. And if you adapt it right, you retain that it's a good story. I think most people would enjoy it if they just like period pieces, things about antiquity, even if they aren't of an Abrahamic faith or even religious at all. Like you could still just enjoy it as like this ancient world drama.
Obviously, it's very steeped in, Old Testament biblical stuff.
Yeah.
And,
and they mention things all the time, too.
They go into a bit about the houses of Benjamin and Judah. And they, you were pointing out, it's interesting that certain people in these various houses are related in certain ways. And the king doesn't realize that he's actually related to David. Distantly, distant cousins or something.
Well, there's also, too, there's like a lot of intermarrying that happened within the houses, too, and you only care about the father, right? So over time, a lot of people even lose track of like where their daughters and stuff went or where their mothers came from,
Yeah. But yeah, it seems like it's getting pretty epic as far as, it's like, it reminds me of some of the more interesting parts of like the 10 Commandments, which most people have seen. Where, gets into some of the palace intrigue and interrelationships between different people that you didn't realize if you're not super familiar with it. Might have been going on around the sides of these more well-known stories. So. But yeah, there's some good fighting. You said you saw a sword that you were waiting for.
Somebody pulled out a kapesh, which is like one of my favorite weapons. It is usually referred to as an Egyptian sickle sword, but while it is associated with the Egyptians, it's also associated with the Israelites and a few other people in that area. You can literally just call it like a Mediterranean sickle sword if you want, but the name is a kapesh. One of the like soldier assassins pulled it out at one point in time. It's like, I was waiting to see one. I knew somebody was going to pull it out.
Yeah. Kind of like the weapons that the assassins use in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
Not quite as curved as that.
Oh, I love the kapesh. I wish I owned one. But no, there's a lot of cool stuff.
And David's older brother kicks ass. I mean, he was slicing down. They got caught in a what says a Capestran, a man of culture, I see. They got caught in kind of an ambush, and he ends up just cutting people down right and left. David has no idea what to do. He's a freaking bard shepherd. He didn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
Except with a sling.
But he's really good with that sling. Which I like that they do a really good job of displaying what a sling can do, right? Especially in that one scene where he's breaking the vases, and he does like the two at once, which was really cool. But these are very dangerous weapons, but they're precision weapons, and it depends on how big a sling you can handle and what you can load into it, right? So they were making fun of David because his sling is actually pretty small, the one that he's using there, that he would have used when he was watching the sheep. It's like, what are you going to do? Give somebody like a black eye or something with that? Which you could injure somebody, but you're not going to do that much to somebody with a sling like that. You could take out an eye. You could give somebody some nasty marks on their head. If you have a lot of distance and you're fast at reloading, you could keep somebody away from you, right? It's like shooting somebody several times with a heavier pellet gun. But if you get a bigger sling, which I think they even showed that he had a bigger one in that opening sequence where they kind of like gave you a glimpse of the Goliath fight, a bigger sling can take out wild animals, no problem. And like I'm excited for that. It's a real weapon. It's mostly for hunting, but you can use it in war.
Huh? David also had just a dagger when he goes up against the lion.
Yeah, that was pretty badass.
Yeah. Got sick of that damn lion that had killed his... I guess they're implying it was the same lion that killed his mother and was killing sheep. And
yeah.
I actually looked this up.
They called him the king.
Apparently in the lion?
Yeah, they were calling the lion the king locally.
Yeah. Apparently in the Bible he also killed a bear.
Yeah. Which, again, I mean, it sounds... It is impressive, actually. I'm not going to belittle it. You just have to put your frame of reference. It's like, it's not as impressive as you might be thinking, right? I'm killing a lion or bear at all is crazy.
Yeah.
They're probably slightly smaller than the ones you're picturing in your head. Right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it was a grizzly or...
No. It's probably closer to, like, one of the more mid-sized black bears would have been native to that area at that time. Which the Asiatic black bear has not been around for quite a while. Those kind of, as far as we know, went extinct. But some of them might have still been lingering at that time. And the Asiatic lion, still big. It's bigger than a mountain lion here in North America. Is a little bit smaller than its African cousin, and their manes tend to get darker. I noticed on the later shots, the mane was darker than it was on the earlier. I don't know if that was just a lighting problem. It was closer to the coloration in some aspects, but they still gave it a little too big of a frame, and its head shape was closer to an African lion. I like the way the brow was, and it feels like they just had an African lion model and they recolored it to be an Asiatic lion.
Do you think that whole thing was CGI? The lion?
I would bet that whole thing was entirely CGI, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
But still, it was great. I loved it. I like he was like, be bold, David, like talking to himself. I'm like, dude, you decided to go up against a lion with just a knife and a torch. You're already bold.
Yeah.
But I think of the things that we've watched, that's my highest recommendation right now is if you have access to Amazon, go watch House of David.
Yeah, it's really good. I think they did a really good job. And I really don't see it falling off in the next few episodes.
Yeah, I don't either.
Just seems like it's going to keep getting better.
Like, they would have to try to make it fall off. Actively.
It
would be really cool if they don't plan on doing anything after Goliath, like if it's just like that mini series, is if they tackled some of the other like known stories in the same way.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, let's see. I'm trying to see if there is any plan to have multiple seasons, but I don't know. Offhand, I can't tell.
Yep.
I keep waiting because it started with that scene, but then the whole thing is a flashback basically.
Yeah. Or you could say in some ways that scene was a flash forward, whichever way you want to look at it.
Oh, apparently, according to Forbes, House of David just knocked down Amazon Prime's Video's best show. Which, what are they saying was the best show? Reacher. No.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Wait.
I mean, I liked Reacher. Fishoso said he just couldn't get into it. And that's fine. It's not going to be for everyone. I like the books that Reacher comes from, the Jack Reacher series.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I enjoyed a lot. Obviously, some adaptation had to be done because I think the one that's being covered right now was written in, like, 2003, maybe. So, at best, they had flip phones. And now they're dealing with, like, smartphones and everything. So, it's not a one-to-one, but it's also not a series that was made so long ago that bumping it forward to modern day changes too much.
So let me correct that. It bumped off Invincible.
Oh, okay.
It knocked Invincible down to number 3, I guess most watched or whatever. So it's now second, right behind Reacher.
If his Chozo wants you to answer his question, but I'm not going to let you. I'm going to just put my foot down and say, no, we're not answering that question.
Yeah, I read the question. I don't.
Yeah.
It's completely off topic. No, I'm sorry. Plus, we already talked about that. But yeah, it's really good. I think it looks like there's a bit of discrepancy. It's either number 2 or number 3. And yeah, it's really...
Yeah.
And I don't know. House of David and the rise of quality Bible TV.
We've always had quality Bible TV. Have they not seen Veggie Tales?
Yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing is that there've been these other shows. I can't think of any offhand.
No.
But there've been other series or mini-series, about biblical times or...
Yeah. I do think this is probably the best one I've seen.
Pre-medieval era. Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the other really good ones where they get things right, you don't get it as a full drama where you can just be soaked into the story. Like, there's the Bible series, which I think was made under Discovery, but it would be on, like, the History Channel and stuff like that. And it's good. You get some really good scenes, but it's often broken up with, like, narration of some scholar or expert talking about it in between the scenes. It's like, I love your commentary, but I would like to just be in the story,
And I mean, the vast majority of biblical series or mini-series are about Jesus, right?
Yeah, that's another thing too. It's like I happen to love Old Testament stories, there you could get lost in them. They are just like classic narrative stories that you can enjoy. So it's either that or it's Exodus.
Yeah. Or like I see some things about Abraham or Moses or whatever.
Noah's Ark gets covered a lot.
Yeah. There was a series. Oh, that's a film. Samson and Delilah from 1949. That's not a series. They talked about Samson briefly.
Yeah, they did. Which I've mentioned. It's like, and for them, not only is that a story that is long enough past, they're not sure if it did or didn't happen, but it's also recent enough that it's still kind of recent history.
Yeah. Like 100 years prior to this.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's not. He's not.
Rick has been drawing up lesser known Bible stories on his channel, like weekly. He's making like comics of them and stuff, which is cool because there's a lot that people just don't talk about.
Yeah, he's not Jesus. He's not.
My favorite book
any...
is Joshua because that's where like the coolest war stuff happens. It's like when they're retaking the Holy Land. And I wish there were more adaptations of stuff that happened in Joshua.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's if you're, I would say, regardless of whether you're like, this isn't like a religious show. I mean,
no, it's not.
It obviously gets into it a bit.
You could enjoy it the same way that you would enjoy, like, a good narrative show about like the Iliad or something.
Yeah, or like Gladiator or what was
Ben-Hur,
Troy or something like that.
Troy. That is mostly the Iliad.
The Iliad.
Yeah. The Odyssey put in there. If you watched A Romance of the Three Kingdoms, or which actually that's more contemporary. That's almost like medieval times, but still, like there's a lot of these like antiquity stories that you can enjoy even if that's not your faith, because they're just good stories that have lasted the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody enjoys the Epic of Gilgamesh.
Yeah. Well, what else is going on?
Let me think. I guess I'm not going to go rambling on about how much I'm enjoying Reacher. But I will say, if you like that type of stuff, if you like really grounded stories, if you like something that actually takes its time to get stuff done, it just sits in the story with interesting characters, then you should give Reacher a try. It won't be for everyone, but it's a very popular series for a reason. I'm not even talking about like the TV series. I'm talking about the book series itself was popular before they ever adapted it into anything. It's kind of weird. I think I mentioned this to you, that they didn't start at the beginning. And the books are kind of written to where you could just like pick up any book and read them what order you want to. But they picked some later books specifically to string together a narrative, because they're stringing kind of like a narrative together about the antagonist character Quinn, and it's like picking the Moriarty against Sherlock Holmes, right? And deciding just to focus on those stories, which it can be fine if you only have like a limited number. You don't know how many seasons you're gonna get. Let's just make this one narrative that everybody can follow. But yeah, it's good.
Cool. What was we were watching a movie and commenting on how well I guess the beginning was, where they didn't. I remember we were talking about like how it was like very show don't tell. What was that? Remember?
Yeah. Trying to remember. It was an older movie. It was like they don't do stuff like this anymore.
Yeah.
It was. Oh, we were watching The Rock.
Oh yeah.
Right. It was the chemical. Well, they were stealing the chemicals, and one of the guys got locked in there or they locked him in there because they couldn't let the chemical come out, or everybody would die. And you just see it like his flesh bubbling up and peeling away, and yeah. And that showed you the stakes right there at the beginning. Like, this is what this chemical can do. You don't know what they're gonna do with it, but this is clearly dangerous. I was saying too, as much as people like to shit on Michael Bay and some of his movies, compared to people making movies now, that guy knows how to make film. He knows how to like use the art of film to be able to get everything across that he needs to and try to use it to its fullest. Like, he may not be the best at doing a narrative, right? but he knows the art of film, and that Show Don't Tell in that case was a perfect example of that.
Yeah. The Rock was definitely one of my favorites. One of my favorite
I love that movie.
Action flicks, intrigue, and
I think we were just looking for something.
Had so many good actors. Yeah.
Yeah, great actors.
Flit. It was a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. It had we got Nicolas Cage, Sean Connery, Ed Harris is in it. I think John C. McGinley was in it too. Like there was a lot of really good actors.
Yeah, very good movie, and like we said, very well made, because there are just aspects of that where just watching it at the time, you didn't think about it, because the movie, most movies, at least big budget ones, were made at least that well.
Yeah,
most of them. And
well, we just had like a better,
more recent movie
pool of directors back then too. Like your average director was doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And now it's a crapshoot. We also we're rewatching some stuff. One of the things that I was praising that we were rewatching is we watched Rush Hour 1 and 2 recently. And it's been so long. I'd watched Rush Hour 2 more than any of the other Rush Hour movies. In fact, I don't even remember Rush Hour 3, and I know I've seen it. But one of the things I like is that there's no breather in between the two movies. The first one ends with him like going on vacation to Hong Kong, like he follows Lee back. And then the first one picks up while they're in Hong Kong. So the only thing we missed was the plane ride over there.
Yeah. And I've never seen any but the first. I've never seen the second one at all.
Oh, yeah. And I was telling you before going in, I think the second one's better than the first one. Just because it has like all these like really good bits that I think lay into the characters more. And they were able to kind of double down on things because they had already established the characters in the first one. They're like, you already know these guys, so we could go crazy this time.
Yeah, is the third one terrible, or is it
I don't remember.
Watching?
I think we should just watch it anyway because we watched the first two.
Yeah.
And because I don't remember, I watched 3 when it was new, and I have not seen it since then. But I don't think it's because it was bad. I think that was just during a part of my life where I was like moving around a lot, and I just didn't sit down and watch movies for a long time.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a try. I would have bet it's at least not bad.
Yeah. I think it's probably started to get a little old, but worth a shot.
And I'd be really happy, not remember anything about this, if we went in and it did just take place right where the last one left off. That's how I want it to be. Flit can't think about the Rush Hour movies because he's still stun-locked over the realization that Michael Bay directed The Rock. Prior to Transformers, Michael Bay was actually considered like an A-list director. And I know it's shocking to remember that, but that is the case.
Director Michael Bay. And it was distributed by Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Studios.
Oh, if it shows us that there's a time skip after 2. Well, that's a little disappointing, but we'll still go back in and watch it anyway. We just weren't in a rush because the other 2 were leaving and 3 wasn't. So it's like we have plenty of time to watch 3.
I mean, he also directed Armageddon and Bad
which
Boys.
I liked Armageddon. Michael Bay used to do a lot of good things. Once upon a time.
And then he directed a bunch of 2D Transformers movies.
Oh, yeah, but you know what? He made more money off of those Transformer movies than anything he made prior to it.
I'm sure.
Like, I don't know if my principles are that good. If you gave me that Transformers paycheck, I'd probably make some pretty shitty movies too.
Yeah. No.
Especially, like, I could just save it up, and then after I'm done with that whole series, getting closer to the retirement, I could go make whatever brilliant movie I want off of just that. Yeah.
And I mean, The Rock, it had like an explosion at the end, but
yeah.
A patented Michael Bay explosion, but other than that, it was just a good movie.
Yeah. Good characters, I think, was the most important concept, right? It was a character-driven story where they had different motivations, and there was a lot of really, really subtle stuff throughout, especially the beginning, that let you know kind of like which characters you could and couldn't trust to do the right thing.
Yeah, all the villains weren't all just cookie cutter bad guys. The different ones had different motivations, and all the interactions were believable.
Yeah.
Apparently, Rick has Rush Hour and Rush Hour 3 on Blu-ray, but not the best one.
I know. What's up with that, Rick? Why don't you have Rush Hour 2?
Yeah.
That was actually, of them, the only one that I owned on VHS. We didn't have the first one. We had number 2. And it's like, that's fine, because that's the one my parents wanted to watch more anyway.
Yeah. Let's break out the VCR and watch that.
I don't have it anymore. I think one of my boxes, or not with me, but over my brother's storage, I have Bill and Ted 1 and 2 on VHS. And I think Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Only one of the best movies ever.
Yeah. I used to, in retrospect, like a dumbass, collect the Disney movies, the classic Disney movie
with like the
animation movies. Yeah, in VHS.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't think I have them anymore, but even if I did, how would I watch them? I don't even.
Well, we used to have all of them. All of those clamshell case movies way back then.
Yeah.
Lost them in an eviction, but they were cool. I liked them. If I had a VCR, I would watch all kinds. There's something about it. If you keep it in good temperature, like good environmental control, they still hold up. It's very easy for those tapes to warp though, and then you're getting like this screech and it's like
Strizzo has some of those clamshell case. Like, they were so just well done. Nowadays, it's like everything is just looks the same. It's
Well, talk about keeping good environment.
As another.
As long as it didn't get too hot wherever you stored the cases, because the plastic wouldn't melt, the case itself would help prevent the tape from degrading, because it was kind of like a little that was a good idea. You just had to keep it in temperatures that were like below 90 degrees.
Preferably.
But yeah, I think the only other thing I watched recently, which I did very much enjoy, I don't know if you ever went back and finished it, was last year's Beverly Hills Cop Axel F, which I loved. It felt like it just belonged in the rest of the Beverly Hills Cop series.
Yeah, it was remarkably good. I did not go back and finish that. I fell asleep, or I had to go. I went to bed because I was like, oh, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I got to watch the second half because the first half was really good. I was like, wow, they didn't ruin this sequel that didn't come out for many years after. It's like, wow.
Well, they kept the color grade and the film's tone and everything very low, so it looked like an older movie, that if you didn't see somebody whip out a smartphone, you wouldn't be able to guess when this movie was supposed to take place.
Yeah. And it was funny. They had little subtle hints or subtle references to the previous ones. So.
Yeah. I loved it.
Yeah. It was
highly recommend it.
They Yeah, they didn't woke it up. I mean, there's a little bit of modern, it's a modern movie, so. But no, it was really good. Eddie Murphy still has it, apparently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't think he ever lost it, yeah. But it is time. You said you had a hard deadline.
Yeah, unfortunately, I got to run.
So we got to wrap up. Yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Enjoyed you guys being here, especially for us being gone for 2 weeks. So it's cool that people showed up. We will be on normal schedule, so we'll be here for Thursday for Game Central Junction. Adjusting to your daylight saving time, even though we don't have to put up with it. So we'll see you guys then. And remember, you can support the show at streamlabs.com/vomitorium live. Really helps us out.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.